This is Paul Bedford, Business Growth Specialist. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to do Dynamite presentations, and there's two things I'm going to talk about today. Is first of all, handling difficult people, and the second thing is handling difficult questions. So obviously, if you're standing up there and you know your stuff, then that's great, but there's always going to be someone who's going to ask you a question what you have no clue about. So I'm going to give you some hints and tips on how to deal with that. But first thing, what do you do when you're you're doing a presentation or you're running a workshop or something like that, and you get a confrontation? Not necessarily for you, but from other people. So I was running a workshop, whole day's workshop on requirements for a computer system for a company that delivers parcels. And the people in this organization have worked their way up from being delivery people up to managers and then up to, executive director level. And we're all in this room. And there are people who are very passionate about what they do. And we had a man and a woman who were both really passionate about their side of what they wanted to get delivered for this piece of software. And they started shouting, temperature started rising, started getting heated, and eventually they started shouting at each other. And I had to do an interrupt where I had to stop them and say, look, guys, I don't think we're going to get this situation right here resolved in this workshop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to schedule a separate meeting with both of you where we can thrash out all the details of this one requirement in more detail so that we're not distracting the entire group from the overall goal of today. And then what I did is I sat down with the bloke or the woman first, doesn't really matter who's first, sat down with them individually on their own, got their side of the argument and what they wanted to achieve, and then sat down with the other person and got their side of the argument, what they wanted to achieve, and then I set up a separate meeting with both of them together and me in the room where we could talk about it in a in a way where we don't have a big audience, so no one's playing up to an audience, and in a way where I understand what both of them want and I can resolve that situation. So there's one hint and tip on how to deal with someone an escalating situation. Calm it down, take it out, maybe take a break, and handle it outside of the presentation that you're currently in. Second thing is, how do you handle questions when you don't necessarily know the answer? Well, the first thing you do is someone asks you a question, you say, that's a good question. And if you don't know the answer, even if you do know the answer, sometimes it's actually better to get the audience to participate. So if you've got a presentation where you've got maybe 100 people in the room or 20 or whatever, break them into little teams and assign them to come up with 3 ways to answer that question. And then give them 10 minutes to do it. And they'll then come up with ideas on how to resolve that person's question. And then what you do is you get to a couple of tables to put their points forward. And then you ask the person who asked the question, does that answer your question? Now, second thing is, what you could also do is ask for volunteers to answer that question. If someone else is in the room and they might be more of an expert in that particular area, then give them the limelight. Don't feel like you have to hog the limelight yourself. And also, what you can also do is you could say, and here's something that I use quite a lot, is sometimes people ask a question and they already know the answer and they know what they've tried to do. And if you try and answer that question, they're going to, I've done that. Oh, I've done that. Oh, we've tried that. Oh, we've tried. So what you actually do is you discredit yourself by answering the question. So here's a simple way to deal with it. Say to the person who asked the question, that's a great question. In order to answer that question properly and to give it proper thought and research, I'm going to take that away. I'm going to do some research on it, get my facts all in line, and then I'll give you a call and we can have a chat about it on the phone. Or if you work with them, face to face. Great. Okay, thanks for listening. 2 great quick hints and tips there on how to deal with awkward people and how to deal with questions. Thanks for listening. Bye.